So, hello everyone. My name is John O'Donnell. I'm a principal solution architect here at AWS. I cover most of the US Eastern seaboard, but I kind of do all sorts of different things. So let's jump into end user computing, as Ron mentioned. So with that, I'm going to attempt to turn off my video because my bandwidth is slow. Now let's jump in. So end user computing, why do you need it? Certainly with COVID, with other things, like people like to work from home. And I think as previous presenters had shown, and as you mentioned, Ron, kind of the human element, right? Like people tend to like working at home, but it tends to be somewhat challenging, right? My laptop's not getting updated. I have slow connectivity. I don't have enough horsepower, for example, to do what's needed, right? So, but companies are moving to hybrid. I don't know of any company that's 100% back into the office. So there's always going to be a mix. And I think that will only continue to accelerate going forward. So that's kind of just, a distributed flexible workforce is really that, is a hybrid workforce where some people in the office, some people remote, different countries, different places of the world, right? So they're working together. And here's kind of a survey with that, but companies are looking to increase the level of remote work because they're finding that is actually productive for everyone. And they are investing to make it secure and productive. And I think really security, being productive and secure are really critical things for, for companies, right? So having a managed service, which we have at AWS, to kind of offer remote access, remote kind of ability to work is really critical to companies. So that's really kind of like the big thing that people are investing in, the end user computing technology here in AWS, and it is a secure virtual connection. So customers are choosing AWS, and again, use cases I've personally seen with my customers. Contractors, onboarding contractors, if you have a laptop-based OS, whatever, for example. I was at a large financial services company in this area. They actually literally had to mail people laptops to all around the world, and it was just it could take weeks at times to get a user provisioned. Remote employees, the same kind of challenge, right? Mergers and acquisitions, acquiring a new company and granting them access into your network is often a huge amount of work. If you've done that, and divestitures are even worse, right? So the ability to give people the ability to access or actually remove access seamlessly from your network is really important. And a lot of companies today have VDI on premise. VDI is a great technology. It costs a lot, and you have to have people managing it at a constant basis. So it's certainly a great technology, but it does have its limitations and challenges. And the last thing I would say is specialized applications. There are some applications that only run on the top-notch hardware, and every developer, every tech guy is going to want like top-notch hardware. You may not necessarily afford that, but we have solutions that can help with that. Why are they? So hold on, sorry, my PowerPoint locked up, Ron. So can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hold on one second. I'll talk while this is restarting, but essentially, hold on, here we go. Let's try this a second time. Okay. User experience, I think cost optimization, global scale, these are all kind of reasons why people are doing this. Obviously security. I do have a customer, and I'll cover a few examples later, that they were a global call center company. They had over 10,000 employees. During COVID, all the call centers had to close. And within about a month, they were able to stand up over 10,000 remote access and user computing through AWS Workspaces, and continue to provide a level of service that was equal to, if not better than, what they're providing in the call center. So we're the one who kind of connects the dots there. So again, kind of covered this before, the different types of again, areas I've seen. Contact center agents, a perfect use for remote usage computing. Contractors, contingent workers, people at home, and again, compute intensive. Something like AutoCAD, something that requires immense amounts of hardware. Can't give it to everybody, but remote access computing can allow that. And then lab environments. If you want to say, I want to set up a AWS test environment, but I'm going to grant, as the previous gentleman mentioned about kind of access, and they can spin up virtual machines and whatnot. I'll give them basically a terminal into a lockdown account that's only accessible, say, via network or your types of devices. So I'm going to cover briefly here kind of our different services that we have. Workspaces, which is our desktop as a service. So if you're familiar with VDI, boom, right? Appstream will stream an individual application or a desktop. There's some gray area between the services, but think about that as I want to stream one application really well to an end user. And Workspaces web, it's basically a browser, a lockdown browser that you can host for your customers or for your employees to run applications. So think of kind of like a Chromebook type of approach to web computing. So these are kind of, you probably have seen these before, kind of our managed services, kind of block diagrams. Today, a lot of companies are on premise and you're managing everything. You're racking and stacking, managing power, physical security, storage, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of work, right? As you move to a cloud VDI service, I'm going to take that operating system and the VDIs and rehost them, kind of lift and shift, as it were, and move those into a cloud offering. It does take away some of the work where the AWS, for example, will manage the hypervisor and the physical security, kind of the shared responsibility model. But then you're still managing users. A lot of the kind of the complex lift and shift doesn't go away with cloud VDI. And then going fully to the left, cloud native, which is a managed service, you're managing images, which you're probably very familiar with if you do this, and granting access via LDAP Active Directory, which I'll show you a brief demo of this after this, but pretty straightforward to very quickly spin up. Again, like I said, my customers spin up over 10,000 workspaces in less than a month for that. So here's some examples of the agility here. We at Amazon.com spun up 3,000 workspaces per week to go to over 100,000 users. That's a lot, right? The LA County is using Appstream, and again, I'll show you some demos of these. Hankook is saving money. Grubhub, you probably heard of them. In 2 days, they went to 1,200 workspaces. You could not do that with hardware on-prem, right? It's just too much work, too little time to do that. So again, these are real life public use cases you can find on our website and read more about. But again, very impressive. Again, I came from data centers where I had to rack and stack and do things like that. To be able to do this would take us months, sometimes even years to do things like this that you can do in hours or days. So I just want to show you an example diagram of kind of what my customer, an example diagram, not exactly what my customer did, but kind of the general idea of how workspaces work. If you're an IT infrastructure, an admin, a sysadmin, should all look pretty familiar to you, but essentially is Workspaces is hosted on the internet. It's a secure access that only you grant access to those users through Microsoft AD, for example. It'll connect through ENIs, which are elastic network adapters, to provide secure access into your other AWS as well as on-prem assets, and connect to it. So this would take this type of implementation is pretty standard. And when you do go into and create your own kind of demo workspaces, you'll be setting up pretty much something just like this. So just showing an example of what a workspaces implementation would look like. So, okay, Johnny, you told us about these different services. What's right for me? Okay, well, it's based on kind of what your use cases are. Do you need your own desktop? Do you need to act like you're sitting on a laptop, but it's just remote? Then Workspaces is your choice, right? Super popular, people love it. we have them here at Amazon, AWS, to do work, right? So if a lot of people love their Macs, right? But there's just some things you can't do on a Mac very well. Just spin up a workspace and do it in Windows and go back to your Mac world. So again, a great or Linux, if they have a Linux desktop, for example, Workspaces is great. Appstream, there's again, as I mentioned, kind of two views. Appstream view is a non-persistent desktop. So view that as a kiosk. So if you went to say a hotel or an airport and needed to say print a boarding pass, that's an example of what Appstream desktop would be. There's nothing persistent. Your information goes away after your session. And then Appstream, the app view is a persistent view of a single application. It's managed like a kiosk. It's a shared access, but it will be customized. You'll save your personal settings when you come back in to use it. And again, Workspaces web, it's a hosted Chrome browser, very specific for kind of low touch type of web-based applications. So again, what is the persona that you would be looking for these tools? If you're doing a very specific task, right, in a contact center, for example, or a student, and a student needs to open a very particular application, Appstream is a really great choice for that. Kiosks, even Bastion Host from an IT perspective, is that you get a temporary desktop, you do your work, and then it's ephemeral and it goes away. Then Appstream somewhere in the middle, visualization, high performance computing. I'm working with the customer right now doing just absolutely monstrous high performance computing. But they don't want users actually touching the real servers or the EKS servers that are using Workspaces to access that as basically as a proxy, as a Bastion host. CAD CAM, very high performance, very high CPU, high memory requirements. And then Workspaces, pretty much everybody. You could use Workspaces for everyone. So again, it's a continuum, and again, AWS as well as our partners can help guide you through picking the choice for the technologies. So wait, there's more. This is free, right? So you can actually go to AWS. You have your own personal account or your work account. You can get 50 users on Workspaces for free to kick the tires and test it out, right? There's some limitations as far as the sizing, et cetera. But if you're familiar with the Amazon or the AWS free tier, these all fit into that. So there's really no reason why you couldn't try these out today. So this is on our end user computing page that you can go and sign up and start playing with today. So thank you for the presentation. I'm going to jump in really quick to show you a brief demo of the different technologies I talked about. So this is, hold on. This is, sorry, my desktop is so busy. This is Workspaces. This is the client. So when you get Workspace, you'll create a workspace. Let me go back into the console. So I'm going to go into Workspaces. There's a Workspaces console. And essentially, you can launch a workspace. I've already provisioned a directory that can link back into my on-premise directory. I'll pick a user that's already been provisioned in Active Directory. And then I can pick all these different types of virtual desktops, Amazon Linux, Windows 10 look, right? Basically the Windows 10 feel. These are all running on Windows Server, so they're secure. They're not individual desktops. They're running in a shared model. Office, right? And you could spin these up for a day or a year. You only pay for the amount that you actually use. So if you need to quickly onboard an acquisition and get them into your network, you could spin these up like that. So it takes about 45 minutes to spin one up to get an individual one running. And the cool thing too is, if you're familiar with kind of IT admin, you can create images, custom images that are with all the applications baked into this image that you can deploy. So when a new individual joins your organization, everything's ready to go and you can deploy this. So when this image is ready to roll, I could just give this and say, Ram, go use this Angelbeat. It has all the programs, has all the things you need that's ready to go for that. So again, pretty cool type of stuff if you're familiar with having worked in that area. And let me just sign in here to kind of show you this. Oh boy, see, nothing ever works the first time. I have a network issue here, so let me go back. Hold on one second.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Jonathan, who I know from having attended live events, is with Kaplan, and he had a
Mhm.
question on cost issues with AWS workspaces, and how do you make sure they're price competitive with other similar solutions?
Yeah. So with I you can pay as you go, basically per minute. It tends to be the rule. Again, this is unofficial guidance from John. Once you're over about 10 to 20 hours a week, basically the 24/7, 365 offering becomes actually more cost beneficial for you. With a company like Kaplan, I imagine you have an AWS account team and you can speak to them about various programs that we have that will help you onboard and do this, right? So there's different enterprise discount program, for example, right? It can significantly bring down what you're paying for all services combined, but that would be definitely probably a follow up to kind of go in to kind of see where you're at and where you're looking to go, with that service. But that, yeah, it is it's something you have to do some planning on, certainly. But again, I know with my customer, they didn't have a choice. It was like, I have to get everyone working. And we did that. And again, that's where Appstream potentially could come in, Jonathan, right? Is that maybe you just want to give access to your customer to a certain application. They don't need a whole desktop. They just need one application. Appstream is a great choice for that. I hope that helps answer the question.
Yeah, John O'Donnell, I'd
Yeah.
encourage you. I'll do a follow-up email, but even to accelerate things, if you look at the Q&A on Zoom, you can include your information in there. So Jonathan with
Mhm.
Cap can follow up you directly. There may be additional people like yourself. He's got his general AWS account team, but you
Good.
might be able to help him with more end user computing workspace specific questions.
Okay. Yeah, John, I'd be happy to follow up with you, John.
Okay.
That's fine. Yep. And let me show you a quick demo of AppStream. So again, this is kind of like the app. And again, this is just the demo. You get this for free to play with. And so think about AppStream is you're streaming a single application. So let's just pick like FreeCAD or whatever it is, right? So again, my desktop here, my home desktop is not super powerful, and I certainly could not run a CAD program. But basically, pretty quick, I can open, say, an engine block example and start rotating. I don't even know how to use the program, but basically, you're running an engineering program within seconds, right? So again, what I find is, again, because we have a continuum of services can offer remote access, it's just kind of trying to tune and pick the one that's right for you. So with that, I will wrap up. Again, thank you everyone for your time, and I will hand it back to you, Ron.